And so you think you get distracted talking on the cell phone while driving? Well, a Northwest Airlines flight carrying 144 passengers lost contact with air traffic controllers for more than an hour Wednesday night and flew past its destination by 150 miles, or a bit more than 200 kilometers. The reason? Well, it turns out the two pilots got distracted during a, quote, heated discussion about airline policy. The flight from San Diego to Minneapolis was flying at 37,000 feet when it lost radio contact at 8 p.m. The crew then called a little after 9, asking permission to turn around. Investigators will explore, among other things, whether the pilots were tired. Now, I'm sure in some way that story sets up my commentary pretty well for tonight. As you know, U.S. Vice President Joe Biden was in town on Thursday. He gave a good speech. Not great, but solid. He touched all the right points: the Romanian Revolution, the people, progress, leadership, and the need for it, what this country represents still to much of the world, the ability to overcome, to surmount a history and join a world that was missed for decades. Because believe it or not, we Americans do admire Romania and the people here for having survived and persevered. Of course, most of us in the U.S. don't know the difference between Bucharest and Budapest. God forbid you should ask us to find either one on a map. But we do pay attention, and we find strength in seeing what people elsewhere can overcome. And though I'm sure it sounds a bit corny, all this got me thinking about Joe Biden himself. I confess, without wanting to sound fawning or naive, that I have often thought of his personal story as an example. Well, just a small example, but one of many. And at times of reflection, we all look to images of others, however slight, to illuminate parts of ourselves. The Vice President was a U.S. Senator from the state where I worked. I knew him, but then again, so did most of the people there. It's a very small state. The population is less than 1/3 that of Bucharest. We would have meetings together, sit near each other at restaurants, chat sometimes, and I worked with his son. And I do like him. Almost everyone does. The Vice President is forthright when allowed to be. He's often very funny. He has his faults. Even compared with other politicians, he can talk too much. He's not always a very good politician either. I don't always agree with him. And he's been known to stretch the truth, to put it kindly. But he's a good guy, and he's a good father. And I believe he's honorable. And he has persevered. At 29, he was elected to the U.S. Senate in a very surprising upset. Then just weeks later, his wife and young daughter were killed in a car accident. He considered resigning before even taking office. 20 years ago, he almost died from a brain aneurysm. And in the mid-90s, he confessed in a meeting with a group of us editors that he thought about leaving politics as his party had lost the majority in Congress and it wasn't any fun anymore. And now there he is, Vice President of the United States. So what does that teach us? Well, maybe not much. Maybe many of us have had to survive tragedies, persevere through the worst pains of life. But as we do, it does console and inspire in some ways, I think, to know of others who traversed their own sometimes dark paths and arrived at a green pasture. It's good to have these examples. Of course, it's most important to set these examples. And that's my commentary. I hope you send us yours. The email address is thefrankshow@tmctv.ro. And that is the show for tonight. To find this week's interviews, visit www.money.ro or www.tmctv.ro. Or you can watch the replays of the week's program starting at 12:30 in the afternoon Saturday, 1 o'clock Sunday. We'll be back here next week, as always, with the day's summary of business news and our interviews with some of the top business people in Romania. And we will see you at our regular time at midnight on Monday. Until then, thank you for watching, keep well, and good night.